What's up, Transformers fans? Today we are taking a look at Cang Toys Firmament. This is the left arm of their Thunder King combiner, as well as a giant bird transformer. This thing is looking awesome. The wings are so majestic and have massive wingspan. My light box actually isn't big enough to have the wingspan fully flowed out, so we might have to take a look at that outside of the box, but for now we're going to keep it in here. Alright, I gotta start this all off saying that Firmament is actually the first figure in the set that I was disappointed with. I was really excited to get this figure. I really liked the design. I was looking at the style and those wings and it was looking awesome, but it definitely has some quality issues here. First up being this. The wings are so heavy that it cannot really stand up on its own in any normal poses. If you try to leave it there, just the feet down here are just not able to handle it. So even if you had the feet like stuck, these joints just can't handle the weight of the figure itself, and it just flops all over the place. And there's no really good way to fix that problem. The wings are just so heavy. So I can kind of go like that to get the wings extra far out, and then a slight lean forward will work, but a little tiny tap and she begins falling over. She's also got the problem right here, where these are just way too loose. I might try and take this apart a little bit and maybe try and tighten screws in here, but she can't even hold her weapons up. As soon as you put a weapon in her hand, it drops down. So there is definitely a couple of quality issues in just how strong the joints are compared to how much the figure weighs, where that's just not working out. I also got this head thing, which is cool, and I like the design, but I kind of wanted to get a look at the face and get the light piping to work. And when I popped the head thing open, it got this going on. I don't know why they decided to have this thing be like jotting out the back of the head. So despite the fact that it has really good light piping there, this thing just blocks it. There's nothing we can do about that. Having it open like this doesn't look particularly good because it's got that big thing sticking out, and it just does not work. So there were design choices here I'm not particularly happy with, but it still looks pretty cool. Maybe if I can fix the joints and whatnot and make sure that it can stand up, I'll be a little bit happier with this figure, but my first impressions was that I was a little bit disappointed. So let's get into the actual review. Design-wise, probably the furthest from the initial design or original design so far. Back is really clean. We got those big wings, no kind of backpack thing going on. Got the bird tail, phoenix tail, whatever you want to call her. No really chunky kibble parts to be dealing with, which is nice. Comes together pretty well and just looks nice. Posability, head is very limited because of this whole thing going on, so we can't really get very much head views. You could put this thing out of the way and deal with the weird looking head, and then you got a little bit more of that style, but again, this thing back here just ends up hitting things and blocking some of the posability there. Arms got a double joint, so we can go all the way up. It's got a rotation at the top. Hands can spin around and have all of those nice joints that all the other figures have. They did a pretty good job with those ball joint fingers. That's one of my favorite features of these higher scale models. This is kind of annoying here, this hand thing that flops back. It's again a little bit too weak and it just flops back a little bit too easily. That's a pain. Really good ratchets here on the arms. The arms can go all the way around if it weren't for the wings. There is a waist swivel that can go all the way around. Full twist there. And the legs have some pretty good posability. If you open the skirt all the way up and get the tail out of the way, you can take a look at that. So these can go pretty far out, all the way forwards, and all the way backwards, except hitting into wings and stuff. So all the extra bits of this figure kind of get in the way, but definitely nice there. Really good knee bend. Because of the transformation sequence in there, we can get a lot of strong knee poses to get some cool looks. If she was able to hold herself up, that would be awesome. We got a toe tilt that bends really far in both directions. That can get some really great posing as well. The toes curl. I love it when toes curl because that can get you, again, some nice figures, as well as it leans upward. Upward leans allow you to get some forward bends, which look pretty good in posability. This figure would be working a lot better if I could just not hold on to it all the time, but definitely going to be a flopping mess if you try and release it without being very careful about how you pose it. So that's the biggest flaw in this figure, is just that, and I'm just going to keep bringing it up. So I'm probably going to look into maybe some floor finish, get in there, tighten up those joints, and try and see if I can fix what's going on in the legs to make it a little bit stronger here so that I feel like I can release it. And that might increase my feelings on this figure in this mode. Similar to the other Cang Toys bots, we've got this big orange blade as a weapon. And we also have these dual pistols, which are really cool, but the arms weren't really very good at holding up, especially the right arm. For some reason, I couldn't get it to hold it up at all. It would just drop right down. Let's check it out in bird mode. Alright guys, so taking a look at Firmament here in its beast form. So it has these absolutely massive wings. It can get an amazing wingspan. It has some pretty good posability with those. They have lots of options. It's hard to show off in the limited space I got, but they are really good. You can get a nice tucked away look. Collapse down bird. The bird head has some very limited movability. It can go up and down a little bit. It can't really go side to side at all. The mouth does open, so you can get some chattery poses going on. Legs are all right, a little bit of motion. You can peg it here to get side motion if you need it, but really you're not going to be able to using that too much just because you need to support the weight of these really heavy wings, and so you're kind of limited in the amount of poses that can do. Style-wise, I think they did an excellent job in how it looks. Design. I'm not loving this whole butt thing. Its tail setup, I don't really like how they went with that. I feel like they could have made that a little bit cleaner and not just kind of a bunch of things sitting there loose. But overall, I am very happy with the bird form. I think it looks pretty cool. It balances a little bit better, especially since you could use things like the wings to gain a little bit of balance control. Balance is better than the human form or bot form does. Looking pretty nice. What do you guys think of bird mode, Firmament? Do you like it? Or are you not a fan? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Alright guys, so checking it out here in hand mode. The hand looks pretty decent. I love the hands that they created for this and the little crab bot that they can become. We'll check that out in the fully combined video later. The design of this is pretty cool, but I have a little bit of problem is just this chunk here is just a little bit too much. These massive claws hanging off of the bottom just end up getting in the way a lot. They feel really clunky, and it just doesn't feel particularly nice. And well, as stuff like this just doesn't peg onto anything, it's just kind of loosely sitting there. So they flop around a little bit, and when you're posing it around, there's lots of unnecessary movement. Overall, it's got great motion, good range. It's got that joint going on to get a nice 90-degree bend. It can't go any higher. I would like it to be able to go higher, but it does not have that double bend in it, which is okay, but he just can't get a massive bicep curl going on. There is a little bit of issue with the tail and interacting here at the top, so you have to do a slight pop down to be able to get any kind of twist. You can't do a very good twist at the 90. You have to do the adjustment, do the twist, and then adjust back. And there is no in-between kind of state because it'll be a little bit floppy. Overall, it is pretty solid. It can hold its own weight. I hope it'll be able to hold the sword once it's all together. We'll see if it can hold that massive sword together. Head's looking pretty sweet. Gives that feel of the bird. Pretty nice. We got our combiner port here, so we will actually be flipping that around like that. And like this. Oh wait, no, I had it right. There we go. Like that. Looking all right. I do like the design. I think it gives the feel of the character. It has the big claws and whatnot, so it does feel like a big bird arm, and it's a pretty cool piece. A little bit clunky, a little bit unnecessary bits, but that's what you gotta deal with when you're dealing with massive combiners. I'm liking it, I'm enjoying it. Let me know what you think of Firmament. Probably the weakest of the bots so far. We'll see what I think of the rest of them coming up in the future.